9 experienced hikers, a frozen mountain in the Soviet Union, a tent cut open from the inside, and bodies found scattered across the snow, some without eyes, one without a tongue. This wasn't a horror movie. It happened in February 1959, and to this day, the question remains: what terrified them enough to flee into the night? In late January 1959, a group of 9 hikers set out for a winter expedition in the northern Ural Mountains. They were young, experienced, and led by Igor Dyatlov. Their destination was a remote mountain known as Kholat Syakhl. The name translates roughly to Mountain of the Dead, not a comforting start. But these hikers were skilled. They had survived extreme conditions before. This was supposed to be a challenging but manageable expedition. They were expected back by mid-February. They never returned. On February 26th, search teams finally located their tent. What they found was disturbing. The tent had been cut open from the inside, not carefully unzipped, slashed, as if the hikers were desperate to escape. Their boots were still inside. So were their coats. Outside, footprints led away from the tent, barefoot or in socks, into the freezing darkness. Temperatures that night dropped below minus 25 degrees Celsius. Some bodies were found under a tree, as if they tried to start a fire. Others were discovered hundreds of meters away. 3 were found in positions suggesting they were trying to crawl back to the tent. Then the autopsies came. Several hikers died of hypothermia, but 3 had massive internal injuries, crushed ribs, a fractured skull. One woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue and parts of her eyes. There were no external wounds explaining the internal trauma. Investigators said the force required would be comparable to a car crash. But there were no signs of struggle, no other footprints, no evidence of another group. And then something even stranger. Some of their clothing tested positive for radiation. The Soviet investigation concluded vaguely. The hikers died due to a compelling natural force. Case closed. Over the decades, theories exploded. An avalanche, secret Soviet military weapons testing, parachute mines, Yeti attacks, even UFOs. The Cold War secrecy only made it worse. Why was the area sealed off for years? Why were documents classified? In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the case. Their official conclusion? A rare type of avalanche triggered by wind patterns. The hikers panicked, cut their way out, and fled. But critics argue, an avalanche strong enough to cause those injuries should have left more evidence. And why were they so far from the tent? Why did some seem calm, even organized? The most haunting part isn't the injuries. It's the footprints. They weren't chaotic. They weren't running. They were walking into the freezing night, as if something forced them out, but wasn't chasing them. And for over 60 years, families have lived without a clear answer. 9 young lives, frozen in time. So here's the real question. Was it a natural disaster? A classified military accident? Or something we still don't understand? Because every February, when the snow falls in the Urals, people remember the Dyatlov Pass and the mountain that may still be keeping it secret.